Hey guys, welcome back. As always, my name is Leyzar, and today we're going to be discussing primes in Warframe. Prime weapons, prime warframes, prime armor. Not really, we're going to stick to weapons and to warframes. Now, if you don't know what primes are in Warframe, I'm not going to spoil that bit of the lore for you, even though the name is pretty self-explained. Historically speaking, when a brand new Prime Warframe comes out, he or she receives a massive, absolutely massive cosmetic subjective upgrade and a very small objective stat increase. For example, 10 more energy, yay, 10 more armor, yay, but you still have that huge cosmetic upgrade. Also, historically speaking, weapons are a bit of a different story. They do receive that fantastic cosmetic upgrade, which is subjective, but they also receive a much larger chunk, usually of that stat increase, a much bigger increase in the power of the weapon, making prime variants in Warframe some of the most sought after. Now, don't get me wrong, primes are not the only variant. You got Kuva variants, you got Wraith variants, you got Vandal variants, and so on and so forth. Primes, again, are some of the most powerful, however. Sometimes these weapons even take on a personality of their own with their own unique little gimmicks or mechanics. Case in point, the Piranha Prime. You can summon a ghost or ethereal piranha if you kill enough enemies fast enough. Now, don't get me wrong, that mechanic doesn't put the weapon over the top, definitely not, but it is a little something cool that puts the Piranha Prime on the map, and you'll always remember, hey, that weapon does that. And it also, of course, received a massive increase in the stats as well. In more recent times, however, we got prime weapons that are actually weaker from an objective point of view than their normal counterparts. What? Really? Yes, of course. Allow me to demonstrate, my friends. Now, I haven't researched every single weapon in Warframe because that would take a whole lot of time, but we're gonna be focusing on the latest and great, not really, prime weapon, the Astilla Prime. Have a look at this beautiful weapon. Take a look, my dear friends. Look at that absolutely master-crafted weapon. Beautiful, isn't it? Now, if I was to compare this weapon to its normal counterpart, at least in the looks department, I mean, I know looks are subjective, but come on, take a look at that difference. That is just huge. Hats off to the designer or designers of this weapon. What about the stats though? Well, I'll make it simple for you. It received a 4% increase in critical chance and status chance, a increase of 8 shells in the magazine, and about a 25, 22, 23 something, 20 something percent increase on the damage. When you're looking at this stat screen, keep in mind that this right here, the impact, is the projectile physically making contact with a target, and this is the explosion. There's a lot of problems with this stat screen, however. One of them, well, it doesn't really show all the stats of the weapons. Up until recent times, we didn't even get the range of explosions. You guys remember? We didn't know explosive weapons, what kind of range they had. You had to guesstimate, test in the simulacrum, and head on over to the wiki and read up there. But now we got the range and we got the fall off as well. Damage used to be all clumped up together and you had to figure out, okay, what damage comes from what source, which made building weapons, well, building weapons in a cookie cutter fashion, all the more difficult. But now we got the damage separated. It's a lot better than it used to be. Far from perfect, however. Let's talk Riven Disposition in Warframe. What is Riven Disposition anyway? Well, every weapon has a Riven Disposition. Let's take the example of the base Astilla. In order for you to know the Riven Disposition of a weapon inside the game, you're gonna have to either have a Riven for that weapon, and then after reload, the balls show up, the balls, hashtag the balls, or you're gonna have to have a Veiled Riven for that specific type of weapon, a Shotgun Riven in the case of the Astilla, or a Kit Gun Riven. Let's go back to talking about balls. We are men, are we not? Now this one has 4 little balls out of 5 little balls. Riven Disposition works as following. The more popular a weapon is, the lower the Riven Disposition. Less balls. Now with less balls also comes less stats on your Riven, so therefore your Rivens will be weaker. The less popular a weapon is, the more balls it will have, and therefore the Riven Disposition will be greater, and therefore you're gonna have greater stats on your Rivens. That's simply how Riven Disposition works. It is governed by weapon popularity and is manually controlled by Digital Extremes. Once every couple of months they bring on the Riven changes, which is great cause for sadness or joy depending on which side of the argument you're on. Take a look at this one. Riven Disposition of 4 out of 5. If I take a look at the normal Astilla, this one has a Riven Disposition of 1 out of 5. There's a rule in Warframe, this is more of a recent thing. Brand weapons in Warframe come out with a Riven Disposition of only 1 out of 5. That's not the actual number per se. If you want to know the actual number per se, you still gotta go to the wiki. Attaboy D, great change. So you see, there's a very big discrepancy when it comes to Riven Disposition. This, coupled together with the fact that there's only a very minute buff for the Astilla Prime, can actually put the normal Astilla over the top with the right Riven, with a powerful enough Riven. Allow me to show you an example of this issue. So, just so I'm clear, there's two problems here. One, brand new weapons coming out with Riven Disposition of only 1, yes, and the second, the very small buff that the Prime got. Those are the two main concerns. Those are the two main issues why we're in this predicament right now. Let's have a look at stats, my friends. We're going to be using the exact same build. We're going to be using a meta build for the Astilla Prime and the Astilla. If you want to know exactly why do we build the weapon this way, why is this the quote-unquote meta build, link in the cards right now for a full detailed guide on the Astilla Prime. Trust me, it's awesome, amazing, watch all of it. What was I doing? Oh yes, that comparison. Critical chance, 30%. Okay, there will be this exact same Riven, exact same build, 30.2% or 81.4% status chance. So let's head on over to the normal version of the Astilla, and again, we're going to be using the exact same things. Take a look, same build as before, same Riven. Critical chance is higher, 44.9%. Laser sight not included because this one only shows up when you actually aim. It's not taken into account into either of these. Status chance, however, will be lower, 72.6%. Now, let's have a look at damage. The normal Astilla will come in at 1.4 plus 4.5. Let's round up a little bit, shall we? This will be basically about a 5.9-ish, a little bit under 5.9. As for the Prime variant of the Astilla, even though it has a better status chance, my friends, the damage, well, the damage is entirely different. You got 3 plus 1.7, you got 4.7, you got 4.7. That's a big difference in damage, a huge difference in damage. Now, this one still has more impact on it though, hey, hooray, because of the Riven Disposition. The Riven cannot get the minus 100% impact, so it doesn't have only vital on the slug, it still retains impact. Yay, please fix impact, dear D. Now, fair is fair, so let's be fair. While the normal version of the Astilla clearly packs the bigger punch, the Astilla Prime has an edge in status chance and usability as well. Let's not forget about that magazine capacity of 24. Same reload speed, which means you're going to be reloading less often with the Astilla Prime. Therefore, it will impact the DPS of the weapon. So there you have it, my friends. The Astilla Prime actually doesn't pack as big of a punch as the normal counterpart. And the normal counterpart with the right Riven in the right setup will be more powerful. And here's my question to you, fantastic people. Do you think this is okay? Do you believe that is acceptable? Because there are multiple sides to this argument. First of all, there will be guys saying, hey, I don't care about Rivens, I hate Rivens, Rivens worst thing in Warframe ever. But there are players that love Rivens. There are players that go out of their way to get the best Riven they possibly can for their favorite weapon. Should we not take them into account as well? Are they neglectable? I don't believe so. I also don't believe that brand new weapons in Warframe should come out with a Riven Disposition of only 1 out of 5. There are plenty of passionate players in Warframe that want to max out everything and go out of their way to do so. Now, if you believe, like me, that this situation is not really acceptable, that your brand new shiny Prime weapon is actually weaker than the normal counterpart, then I believe a simple fix, even though I haven't thought about this one too much, trust me, is take into account the power of the existing counterpart with its Riven Disposition. For example, in the case of the Astilla Prime, when it came out, all they had to do is set the Riven Disposition to 0.75 or 2 or 3 little balls. I think at 0.75 it's still 2 little balls out of 3 little balls. As a general rule, I support the decision behind putting the Riven Disposition for brand new weapons in Warframe at 1 out of 5 and making Riven Disposition individual. That's great, because in the past you had cases like the T-Baron Prime. My friends, I don't know if you remember, but when the T-Baron Prime came out, because it picked up its Riven Disposition from its normal counterpart, it was insanely overpowered. It was essentially the best assault rifle in Warframe with the highest Riven Disposition as well. It was double win. Now, granted, I don't know if that actually hurt anybody because that weapon was so fun and so powerful. I believe it hurt other weapons that didn't get played, but there you go. in this specific case, a Riven Disposition of 0.75 would have fixed the issue. In the long term, I believe that brand new weapons, while they should come out with a measly Riven Disposition, that again, there's a very good reason for that, but at least something like 2 out of 5, which will still put the weapon, or at least make sure that the weapon is over the normal variant. Because this, at least from my humble 2 cents, is just sad. And that's pretty much it, my friends. I really want to know what you think in the comment section down below. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. And if you got any sorts of feedback for me, once again, in the comment section down below. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye!